Let's take a look at configuring orthographic drawings. You can configure Ortho template and drawing paths, display defaults such as hidden line piping and elbow center lines. You can also specify layers for specific orthographic components. So let's take a look at how we go about doing this. Let's go on over to our Home tab. Once you've selected your Home tab, let's go over to the Project Manager. And within the Project Manager, we'll go to the Project Setup. We'll get our dialog box for the project setup, and then we'll go down to Ortho Drawing Settings and Title Block and Display. We'll go ahead here, and with this tool here, we can pick which template that we want to use for our orthographic drawing. I'll just go ahead and choose Ortho Template. And now that selects the orthographic template that we're going to use. In your Ortho generation options, either check or clear Show Hidden Line Piping by default. And if you do choose to show it, then you can select if you want to show it curved or if you want to have it represented cornered. Now, if you were going to customize your drawing template from scratch, you would do so in much the same way that you do when you set up an AutoCAD template by opening up your template and then going in and making the necessary title block with using your block functions and attributes and so on and so forth. For the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I switch to a template that I already have all of this set up in, and I already have a title block. So I'll go ahead and select this PNID ANSI D. And now I'll be able to go ahead and set up this title block. And you'll see that this drawing sheet here already has the title block present in it. And the attributes are set up into it as well. And you can see it is an AutoCAD reference. So now let's take a look at setting up the orthographic settings. So we'll go to the Configure panel, and we will choose the Ortho Settings tool. And you'll see we come across the layer setup. And in the layer setup, we can go to all the different orthographic components that we have, and we can choose the layer that we want to set those up on. And as I mentioned, this title block has already been set up with layers. So all we have to do is go ahead and set the layer that we want for each one of these as we go into all the different components of the layer setup. Now, if you don't wish to set all these things up from scratch, then you can just simply use the 3D model layers, and it's going to take the layers from the 3D drawing that you have set up. So in short, what's going to happen here is if I go to Equipment and I select the equipment layer, what that's going to essentially do is it's going to take all the equipment components, place it on that layer, and it's also going to set the ortho objects to by layer for color and line type. So it's going to allow these objects to inherit the color and the line type of this equipment layer. Now we'll go ahead and OK this, and we're going to go ahead and return to our project setup. So we'll go back to Home and the Project Manager, go to Project Setup. And what we're going to talk about here is you can place coordinate annotations, XYZ type coordinates on an ortho drawing, indicating such common locations as top, center, or bottom of pipe elevations. You can also make modifications to the style and format as needed. So to go ahead and get the annotation together, what we're going to do is we're going to open up the Plant 3D drawing settings. We'll expand that like that, and let's go into the Plant 3D class definitions, and we'll go into piping and equipment, and I'll just go ahead and choose pipe run component. And what we're going to do is we're going to focus down here on the Ortho Annotation setup. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a bottom of pipe style. And then I'm going to say, let's add an annotation. And if you notice, I'm going ahead and I'm going to call it the copy. It's coming up this by default, but you can name it anything you want. But it's always best to make a copy of the original rather than editing the original. So I'll go ahead and OK that. Now, if I need to do any editing on the annotation, I can go ahead and I can make any of the changes that I want, whether it be the color, the layer, the line type, etc. Make any of those changes that you want there. Now, if you need to edit the block itself, This is going to bring you into the block editor. So now you can make changes on the appearance of this in the block editor. And when you finish with that, go ahead and close the block editor. And so now if you're happy with this, we can attach it to our annotation. But if you're not happy with it, you can go ahead and remove it. But let's just go ahead and say that we are. And we're going to find where our annotations are. And we're going to go ahead and switch this to the copy of bottom of pipe. And I'll open this up so you can kind of see that it actually has chosen that. And you'll see now that this is going to be the annotation for the bottom of pipe whenever we call that up on an orthographic drawing. Now, as I said, if we didn't like that, we could switch it back to the regular bottom of pipe. And if we don't care for that one, we can go ahead and remove that annotation and take this off. And now everything is as good as new. So it's that simple to be able to get your own custom ortho annotation in Plant 3D.